and welcome. My name is Sarah Birch, and I'm an admissions and recruitment specialist for the Brown School. Thank you for joining us, and we apologize for the delay in the start. But today we're going to share some information about various student research opportunities at the Brown School. So I'm joined with current MSW and MPH students. And so to start, I'm going to ask them each to introduce themselves, name, where you're from, program, and in what capacity you're involved in research at the Brown School.
Sure. So hello, my name is Saif Nasser. I'm here in St. Louis from Omaha, Nebraska. I'm a second-year Master's in Public Health student focusing on health policy. And my research experience here at the Brown School has been centered around dissemination implementation research at the Prevention Research Center.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gerg. I grew up near Seattle, Washington. I'm a second-year MPH student at the Brown School focusing on epidemiology and biostatistics. And I work as a Master's Research Fellow at the Health Communication Research Lab and as a Graduate Research Assistant at the Evaluation Center.
Hi, my name is Jacob Gordon. I'm originally from California, but moved here from Wyoming. I am a second-year MSW with a concentration in research and policy, and I work at the Health Communication Research Lab with Rachel, and I also have a Master's Research Fellowship in Social Epidemiology.
Thank you all. So we'll dive deeper into all the different ways that students can get involved in research at the Brown School throughout the session. And our student panelists are going to take the lead on sharing their personal experiences in research, but please feel free throughout the session to submit your questions along the way, and we'll address all the questions by the end of the session. So we'll go ahead and get started. If we can see our deadlines yet. All right, so first I wanted to start with a couple of upcoming deadlines. So February 15th is when our Master Research Fellowship position deadline is. So applications for those MRF positions are now open through the Brown School website. And if you've applied, you'll be notified of your MRF selection in mid-March. The next deadline is March 1st, which is our regular decision priority deadline for applying to the Brown School. So if you apply by that date, you'll receive admissions and scholarship decision within 8 weeks. And then after March 1st, we have rolling admissions. So applications will still be reviewed and decisions will be released for admission and scholarship as available. Next, I wanted to go over the various research centers that are at the Brown School, as well as key campus partners and community-based initiatives. So at the Brown School, we have 14 research centers that our faculty, students, and staff can get involved in. We'll talk about a couple of these in more depth as we heard our student panelists are involved in a few of them. Other ways that students can get involved in research is through community-based initiatives and then through key campus partners. So here are the various ways that students get involved in research. The first one is that Master's Research Fellowship. So this is a more selective program. It's a formal program that you apply to and are paid a stipend. Stipends are around $5,000, and it also waives your health and wellness fee. You must have submitted an application to the Brown School for your program, so that's for MSW or MPH, before you can apply to an MRF. But as we mentioned earlier, those applications are available now, so feel free to apply for any of those and to as many as you are interested in between now and February 15th. The other ways that students get involved is through research assistantships at the Brown School. Those are in collaboration with either our faculty or with research centers, and most of those are paid positions as well. There are research fellowships available with our campus partners. So in places like the School of Medicine, the Institute for Public Health, the Center for Diversity and Inclusion at WashU, and there's a non-exhaustive list of those fellowships on our Admitted Student Resources page on the website. Other ways are through independent study, research-oriented fieldwork, so students can use their practicum as a way to get some research experience, and then other special projects. So now I'd like to hear from each of our student panelists about their involvement with research opportunities. So I'd like for each of you to share a little bit about how you went about finding the research opportunities that you're involved in and what that process was like.
Sure. So when I started here at the Brown School, I actually went the route of applying for an MRF right after submitting my application to the Brown School. And that's when I worked for the Dissemination Implementation Research Corps, which is over at the med school. Like you mentioned, there's that partnership there. Afterwards, I actually took a course in health policy and developed a strong relationship with my professor, who then offered me a position working with her and her research at the Prevention Research Center, so through a professor, essentially.
Excellent. Rachel?
I'm a little bit similar. So I'm an MRF as well, but the way that I got that position was not by applying for an MRF, but the scholarship that I interviewed for had an MRF position attached to it. So I think my situation is a little abnormal there. And then the way that I got my position at the Evaluation Center was I took a class called PI, and we were learning a lot about evaluation methods, and they let us know that they were hiring at the Evaluation Center for a student research assistant. So I knew my TA for that class worked at the Evaluation Center, and she helped me get the job there. And then the last thing that I do is I have a sort of mentored research project going on with one of the professors here. And how that came about was I just went to him and let him know that I was interested in a lot of the different research that he was doing, and he came up with a few ideas for research projects that I could do on my own.
For me, it was similar to them too. I had applied to the MRF, in social epidemiology with Daryl Hudson. I think I applied to several of them, got accepted to one. And then in that same first semester, I also reached out to some faculty that I thought I'd have research interest with. So I reached out with, because my interest is in LGBT, like health disparities, I reached out to some that dealt with that, and actually just talking with them, they kind of opened up some federal work study positions. So it wasn't like a technical research assistantship, but it was like a part-time job just doing research for them.
Thank you. So as you can see, there are a variety of pathways to research, and one really great thing to do is to collaborate with faculty or to kind of listen for opportunities as they come up within classes or from your peers within the school. So my next question, through all of these various research opportunities that you have, you kind of get the ability to gain some hands-on skills. So whether that be conducting research methods or analyzing data or even writing up results. So can a couple of you share what type of work you've actually been able to contribute or the new skills that you've gained through your research projects?
Sure. So dissemination implementation research, as you might be able to tell by the nature of its name, is kind of focused on taking the research that people do and finding ways to get that into practice. So working for the Prevention Research Center with Sarah and Ross, we kind of have this relationship with the other faculty members at other universities we're working with to implement kinds of research like that, and kind of seeing how the actual process of getting research from paper on the ground. That's been a really eye-opening experience for me in doing research. And then, as you mentioned, lots of things, getting experience doing research methods, literature reviews, interacting with faculty members at other departments at the university. I think my experience has been very, very well-rounded in giving me research methods skills. Yeah.
I feel like I've learned a lot of different skills too. Jake and I do a lot of phone interviews with different participants that we recruit from the community. I am in a lot of meetings where we debate about survey methods and how to design surveys, so that has been one of the more interesting things that I've learned through my experiences. And then also just random projects that you do, like different data analysis projects, writing up reports with results and things like that.
Yeah, similar as well. I had the chance with my MRF to conduct focus groups from the ground up. So recruitment into setting up the focus groups into analyzing the data we got from it. So I got a good piece of like qualitative data skills, and then also quantitative on the side too with the MRF. What else? No, that's about it.
Cool. Thank you all. And so a lot of the research that's being conducted at the Brown School and probably through the programs that you're doing aim to inform various things like interventions or programming. direct practice, policy. So can you tell us a little bit about how the research you've worked on has been or will be used to inform real life changes?
Sure. So I feel like mine is actually a great example for this sort of question because of the nature of dissemination implementation research. We're working on technical training on colorectal cancer and HPV vaccination screenings. So working with physicians and healthcare providers directly, asking them what sorts of things work for them in the trainings that they provide to their faculty or fellow professionals. And that's actually been cool to see and as we start to interact with those professionals and ask them how this research has affected them and affected their practice has been eye-opening and very interesting for us.
One of the things I really like about the Evaluation Center is that we have a lot of shorter projects where we consult with different organizations around St. Louis, so you're able to see how you'll have a direct impact where we evaluate their program and make recommendations and suggestions that they'll then go on to implement.
For me, with the MRF, Daryl Hudson and I, we look at African Americans in the north side of St. Louis and how the link between depression and diabetes and kind of the way they cope. And so for me, it was kind of like really looking at intervention science. It's like, how do we get into the communities and through like self-care and through community health workers, and how do we effectively and efficiently kind of treat diabetes and ultimately depression as well.
Thanks. So as you can see, I mean, really one of the focuses of the research projects that are done here at the Brown School is that it's not just research for research's sake. It's using the evidence to inform real life change and make an impact here in St. Louis, as some of our examples have shown, and then also throughout the nation and the world. And so kind of a little differently than that, I wanted to talk about how research that you get involved in directly relates to maybe your program concentration or specialization. So each program, the MSW and the MPH, you'll choose a concentration or specialization where you'll focus your studies. And a lot of students are able to get involved in research that directly echoes that. So can one or two of you share kind of how that research is directly relating to what you're learning in the classroom or what you're interested in based on your concentration or specialization?
Yeah, I can. I mean, for the MSW, we have like a research concentration. So for me, it was pretty easy link of doing research and having the concentration. And as I've gone through the classes, my last year of MSW, you get the practical skills you need for the research concentration, especially for the MRF. So as I've gotten skills, I've utilized them in the MRF as I've kind of moved through the program.
So I'm an EpiBio specializer, and I think that supervisors and professors get really excited when they hear about the different skills that you learn through your classes that they can then take advantage of and have you work on and help with different projects for them. So one of the ones that I think is really valuable is I've taken the GIS, or Geographic Information Systems class. And then after one of my supervisors heard about that, they then gave me a project working with mapping, and then also just different data analysis classes. Then you can take on data analysis projects for them.
Thank you, guys. So to kind of wrap up, I want to talk about how just research is beneficial to our graduate students in a number of ways, whether they intend to conduct research as a profession or if it's going to inform what their interests are for a career later on. So I'd like each of you to share kind of what you feel is the most beneficial part of being involved in research at the Brown School.
For me, research is you develop a mindset about how to think about problems when you're conducting research, regardless of whether it's bench research or social research of any kind. And so being able to take those skills that you learn and implement them in whatever it is that you do. So like myself, planning on going to medical school after finishing my master's in public health, I feel like I'm going to now be able to use those skills in talking with patients and learning new things in didactic situations and things like that. And then also it looks good on a resume to have good research and to give yourself further research opportunities and to learn things about communities, and then beyond your resume to be able to give back to communities through research is a big important part for me. And something that I think the Brown School does a very good job at doing is being part of the community in which we do research. And so I feel like not only am I going to be able to affect the literature, but also the community in which we work here in St. Louis.
I think that being involved in research has helped me realize that that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, and so that inspired me to apply for PhD programs after my MPH is finished. And then I think the other thing is just building connections with different faculty members and having a network of people that you can lean on for support, and they'll come up with other opportunities for you based on what they know that you're interested in, and make suggestions and really be there to support you.
Yeah, similar to Rachel said, for me it was mostly a lot of networking opportunities with like the research faculty at WashU. And like Rachel, I want to continue on to my PhD, so it was a kind of a natural route for me to go to get research experience and kind of networking. And I mean, when it comes to like the research projects that I've done for like writing examples for PhD applications to letters of recommendation, just with some of the staff I've worked with, it all comes pretty effortlessly. So.
Great, thank you all. So as you can see, the research really opens a lot of doors for our students and is beneficial in a number of different ways. So now I'd like to go ahead and answer some questions. First, I'll answer some of the questions that came in before, that were submitted before. So the first one that we have is, can being a research assistant help me pay for graduate school? And the answer is yes. Last year, the Brown School supported 60 paid student research positions, and most of our research assistantships and then of course the MRF positions are all paid. So those are some ways that you can help fund your graduate school program. The second question is, how should admitted students look for research opportunities, and is there an application process? So we kind of went over this earlier. The first way is that MRF application, which is up now. You can find that on the Brown School website in the Admitted Student Resources page. There you'll find links to the MRF application and then also links to campus-based fellowships. Another way is to check your email. So our office has sent out emails with links to apply for the MRF position. So check there for updates. Another way is a job fair. So during orientation, admitted students will get the chance to attend a job fair where there might be some research opportunities represented there. So going there to see what opportunities are available. And then directly email faculty. We really encourage our students to reach out to faculty who have similar interests as them and connect with them early on so that they can figure out ways that they can get involved in research. The third question I have here is, what opportunities do students get to publish their papers? And I think a lot of students the opportunity is always there. If there is research, the opportunity is there to publish and go on, especially in collaboration with faculty who have experience doing so. So for example, in any given year for MPH students, approximately 40% of those students will be paid to work on research projects, and the involvement in that results in tangible, either a research paper or a presentation and posters. And over the past 3.5 years, more than 82 publications have been included, have included at least one MPH program faculty member or a student author. Including over 19 in which the student was the first author.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
I would just say that if you want to be published, you should go and talk to your professor and let them know that you want to work on manuscripts. So, because that's not something that was like on my radar at first, and it wasn't until the end of my first year that I went and told the professor that they're like, yeah, let's get you on some projects. And before that, I was just assisting with various other parts, but not in a final product.
Great. So yeah, being really proactive about that and letting the faculty that you're working with know that that's something that you have as a goal, is to publish the work that you're doing, is going to be really important to get that accomplished. And then the final question I have on here is how can students get funding for their research? For example, if you were to do research study abroad, can students secure grants to defray the costs? So the best way to do this is to jump on funded projects that are being led by faculty. The Brown School faculty are awarded anywhere near $14.5 million annually in research funds. So by jumping on and collaborating with funded projects that way, you can get the opportunity to work on those. And then for research abroad, many students will take advantage of that through doing their practicum abroad and conducting research that way. If any of you have anything to add to those?
I had opportunities to use the study abroad program to do my practicum, and I found that to be very helpful in defraying a lot of costs. So if you guys are interested in doing practicum abroad or research, those opportunities are certainly available. And the study abroad faculty, or the faculty that does research abroad, is actually expansive here. And it's great too, because I know that these professors at the Brown School can also connect you with professors anywhere else at Washington University who might be doing research, whether it be at the law school or the medical school or the business school. And a lot of those professors I know do a lot of global work as well, and I'm sure can find ways as well through WashU.
That's great, and that's a great point too, is that we are a part of a community of researchers, and so even if there aren't opportunities outside in the Brown School, looking outside of the Brown School to the greater WashU community can be a great way to find some research experience. So it doesn't look like we've had any other questions submitted. So next I'll just give some kind of final tips just to wrap up and give my contact information. So if you have questions or want to follow up with us, please do. So again, to reiterate those upcoming deadlines, February 15th is when you should submit your Master's Research Fellowship application. The link to that is up there at the top, brownschool.worcester.edu/MRF. March 1st is our regular decision deadline for applying to the Brown School, and then after March 1st, it will be based on availability for admission and scholarship. My contact information there is at the bottom, Sarah Birch. You can reach me at sbirch@worcester.edu with any questions. And then please tune into our next virtual info session, which will be hosted on February 28th at noon Central Time. And there we'll be talking about our faculty. Thank you all again.